Chapter 22. 1, 2, 3. Music blasted from the speakers, startling Finn awake. Jesus Christ, he thought. The ground beneath his body reverberated with the bass. It rattled his brain. He sat up. Everywhere he looked, the square teemed with people. Families and couples were milling around. The music was loud, too loud. Annoyed, he listened as River began her campaign to add Beth to their group. She appealed to Teague, no doubt convinced if she could get him to agree, Finn would follow, like some sort of puppy dog. That was not how it worked. He was not Teague's pet. River pulled out all the stops. Teague was falling for it. This only compounded Finn's irritation over the whole issue. He knew sticking around this town was a mistake. Now he had this Beth issue to contend with. Tension rose in his body. Teague was pissing him off, with his middle-of-the-road garbage. He fought back the urge to lash out, to yell at him, or worse. Growing angrier by the second, Finn needed to get away from everyone. To be alone. At least as much as possible with all these strangers everywhere. Christ, where did they all come from? I'm walking around, he said, as he stood up and brushed himself off. It was not an invitation. He made his way to the front of the makeshift stage. Men, women, teenagers, and children, every color, shape, age, and size. He was searching for the right target. Someone who was both polite and preoccupied. It didn't take long. A bearded man holding a toddler on his shoulders stood alongside the stage, swaying with the music. The little boy giggled and kicked his feet. A string of drool glistened in the sun as it dripped down onto the man's head. Disgusting. Finn crept up behind the man and reached for his wallet. Dada, yuck! The toddler yelled as he reached into the air. Making its way over the heads of the crowd, a red beach ball bounced toward them. Reaching up to hit the ball away, the dad stepped backward and bumped into Finn. Oh, jeez, the dad exclaimed. He smiled at Finn and uttered some inaudible statement. Most likely an apology. These people were always apologizing. The toddler babbled as he bounced up and down, chubby hand holding tight to a partially dissolved cookie, or something. Finn couldn't tell what it was. Whatever it used to be, it was revolting. And the little boy was smearing it all over the head of his father. Gross! The cookie thing fell to the ground. The little boy reached down, attempting to catch it, nearly falling in the process. With cat-like reflexes, the dad quickly reached up to catch him. During the commotion, Finn quickly swiped the man's wallet and melted back into the crowd, rolling his eyes as he walked away. Oblivious, the father and son went right back to dancing to the music. Finn stopped by a trash can and opened up the billfold. $50. Nice. Digging around a little more, he came upon a small photo of the whole smiling, happy family. The dad, the toddler, a pretty mom, and another baby. Finn twitched his nose and flicked the picture into the trash bin. He pocketed the money, tossed the wallet in the can, and walked back toward his friends. Taking the long way around the courthouse, circling around the building, his friends came into view. Beth and 3 other people were there. Great, she's multiplying, he thought. He sat down on the back of a bench and watched. Beth and River were laughing, heads together. If he didn't know better, he would have guessed they were best friends. He couldn't deny there was a connection there. His anger grew. Why now? Why, with everything going on, did they have to run into her? Making it even worse was the fact that everyone had turned on him. They dismissed his opinion as though it were meaningless. Nothing he could do or say would change their minds. They already decided. Like it or not, he had no say. Beth was coming along. And Teague. What the hell? Why would he turn on him like that? Did he seriously believe that Finn would do whatever he wanted? Follow him like a mindless stray? River certainly did. Why were they all being so stupid? They had things they needed to do. Not only did they have to figure out how they were going to get the ashes, now they had to do it with the greenie underfoot. She was going to get in the way. Someone was going to get hurt. Why don't people listen to him? This trip wasn't typical. It wasn't about them. It was about Cyrus and Craig. Sorrow diluted his anger. They were gone. Forever. He remembered a conversation he had with Cyrus long ago. It was during one of their winter stops in Terlingua. Bored, they had ventured into town to one of the local bars. After getting a drink, Finn took a seat outside on the stone patio. A steady stream of tourists moved in and out of the restaurant. Each time the door swung open, country music would blast from the inside, only to go quiet again when the door slammed shut. A girl, maybe 19, approached him. "Hi," she said. "I'm Ava." She held out her hand and smiled. Finn sneered. "And I'm supposed to care?" he snapped. Ava looked as though he had slapped her. Her face turned red. Her smile disappeared. Her shoulders bowed as she turned around and walked away. Cyrus had been watching the whole exchange. "Hey, Finn, don't take this the wrong way, but you're an asshole," he said. He leaned back in his chair and chuckled. "Man, you have got one hell of a wall around you." "I don't like pushy people," replied Finn. "She didn't seem pushy to me. She seemed kinda nice. Just a kid trying to meet people. You shot her down pretty hard." "I said 4 words to her. If that's enough to shatter her world, then she should go back home to Mama." Cyrus shook his head. "Damn, that's pretty cold-hearted. Now imagine where you would be right now if Teague had the same aversion to newcomers." Finn did not respond. "We all do better when we let people in," said Cyrus. "You can't go through life pushing people away. I know, 'cause I used to be just like that. I hated everyone. That ain't no way to be. Sometimes it's good to make new friends. Look at us. We've been friends now for at least a couple years. Your life is so much better with me in it. Admit it." Finn snickered. "Seriously though, man," said Cyrus. "Don't hide behind that wall of yours. You need to learn to trust the people you care about. Sometimes they're right. You might learn something new. Trust the people you care about." Those words echoed in his head. Across the grass, his friends were having a good time. He sighed, hopped off the bench, and made his way back over to the group, sitting down beside Teague. Beth smiled at him. "What have you been up to?" "Nothing," he replied. "Just a whole lot of nothing." He pulled out the money and handed it to Teague, who added the new bills to the stack he had stashed in his pocket. "Wow," exclaimed Eli as he stared wide-eyed at the money. "That's a lot of cash." Finn jeered. "You always this nosy?" Eli stepped back, looking as though Finn had slapped him. Barely able to hold back a smirk, Finn stared back at Eli with cold eyes. He had to be tolerant of Beth. He did not have to be nice to anyone else. Eli looked away. "I'm bored. Let's head home," he said aloud. "No spine," thought Finn. Liz stood up and brushed herself off. "Yeah, let's go to my house." "You coming, Beth?" asked Kara. For a brief moment, Finn had a glimmer of hope that Beth would leave with her friends, and he would never see her again. Beth tilted her head up and responded, "Nah, I'll stay here." And just like that, all hope was dashed. She was not going away. The trio said goodbye to everyone. Finn took great pleasure watching as Eli made every effort to avoid eye contact with him. With a wave, they turned and walked away. He was almost sad to see them leave. Messing with Eli was fun. Given a little more time, he bet he could make the kid cry. "You sure you don't want to go with your friends?" asked River. "Nah, they're just going to be bored at Liz's house," replied Beth. "Why walk all that way when I can sit here and be bored without all that effort?" The band stopped playing. The crowd dispersed. A little girl ran past, giggling as her dad ran up behind her, scooped her up in his arms, and carried her off. Beth became serious. "How did y'all know?" she asked. "I mean, how did you know you wanted to leave? To live the way you do?" Zach shrugged. "The chance came along, and I went with it. All I knew was I didn't want to be home anymore," said Cash. "I left because I figured any place had to be better. When the opportunity came up to hop, I took it. I didn't really have a home anymore," said Teague. "So leaving it wasn't any big deal. Hopping trains wasn't anything I ever thought about. It just happened. None of us struck out intending to be doing what we do," he continued. "Each of us left whatever our situations were at the time and let fate do its thing. There's really no plan. Do we know where we're going to be in 5 years? 10? He chuckled. "To be honest, we don't know much about what the future holds for us. And I think that's exactly how we like it." "What's going on in that head of yours, Beth?" asked River. Beth sighed. "Don't laugh, okay?" she said. "I hate it here. I hate my life. It's all so boring. I want to do something else. I want excitement. I want to live an interesting life. My life isn't awful. My family isn't awful. Nothing bad has ever happened to me. If I stay here, the worst thing that's going to happen is I'll graduate from high school and go to college. She looked around at the others. A tear streamed down her cheek. I don't know why, but sometimes I just want to scream. I don't even know why I'm crying right now. She wiped her face and sniffled. River put her arm around Beth. No one said a word. Finn locked eyes with River and sighed. It's not crazy, he said. Wanting to be free is normal. Wanting to be caged is abnormal. You're coming around to the right state of mind. River mouthed the words, "Thank you." He rolled his eyes. Yeah, you win. Beth was staring at him with a pathetic, questioning look. Finn sat up straight. His voice grew bolder. There's a million different ways to live this life. The trick is figuring out which one works best for you. He continued. As for us, we like being in control of our own lives. We like being free to think, feel, and act however we want. Some of us are just born to wander. It's in our DNA. Beth stared, unmoving. He leaned closer and said in a conspiratorial tone, You know there was a time when people didn't live for things like views, followers, shares, upvotes, and likes? They actually lived their lives with close friends and family. He sat back and said quietly, They were happier for it too. No one spoke. He had everyone's attention. Finn knew what they were all waiting for him to say. He couldn't believe he was about to do this. He took a deep breath. If you could do anything right now, anything at all, what would that be? Would you walk away and leave behind everything you know? Everything that makes you feel safe and comfortable? Beth nodded. Finn stopped talking and stared at her. Of course you would, he thought. Beside him, Teague was beaming, no doubt proud of himself for getting his pet to behave properly. Anger roiled inside. We all do better when we let people in, he thought. He sighed and brushed it aside. Might as well get on with it. They're all waiting. So I guess I should ask you, he said. What do you want to do? Do you want to stay here and live a normal, predictable life? Safe from all the scary things out there? Or do you want to come with us? Be free and live forever. He could barely hold back a chuckle over that last bit. In the corner of his eye, Teague struggled to keep a straight face. Beth blinked as she tried to process what he just said. Wait, what? She asked. Laughter erupted. Don't be a dick, Finn, River said, as she hit him on the arm. Finn smiled. Nah, I'm just bullshitting. We're not the Lost Boys. We ain't taking you to Neverland. Seriously, though, no one lives forever. You gotta know there's no guarantees. You could get hurt, or maimed, or even die. It's a risk we all take. If you come with us, you'll see a part of the world most people never see. No more safety net. No more rules. You'll meet some wild, amazing people. It'll be a rush. It'll be downright terrifying. But you'll be more alive and freer than you've ever been. He paused and asked, So what do you say, Beth? You want to come along? He already knew what her answer would be. It was written all over her face. Eyes wide, Beth slowly nodded her head. Yeah, I do. Finn glanced at Teague, then jumped to his feet. Okay, Beth, let's go. Go where? She asked. He reached his hand out to her. Show you the ropes. You can't come along unless you know what you're in for.